Acho que todo mundo entendeu, mas ela perguntou o que os filhos acham dela escrever esse tipo de romance erótico.
My son is 14, and he's a bit of a smart mouth, so he likes to crack jokes about it. He thinks it's funny until one of his friend's moms, he goes over to a friend's house and his friend's mom will be like, "Oh, your mom and I love Gideon," and then he's just like, "Oh my God, it was so embarrassing," But he's pretty fine with it. Now I have a stepson who's older. He's an adult now. He went to the bookstore on a school field trip when he was younger, and he was so proud that his stepmom writes books. That when they were at the bookstore, he pointed out my books. He's like, "Look, this is my mom, and she writes all these books." And of course, his classmates pulled the book off the shelf, flipped through the pages, started reading it. And, one guy goes, "Oh my God, your mom writes porn." He was mortified. I mean, he came home and he was just like, "Oh my God, it was terrible," and I'm like, please don't tell people. He did learn his lesson, and then later on, much later on when he was going to college, he went to a bookstore and they ended up buying my Mark series, which is written under the name S.J. Day. And when they were in the car driving away from the bookstore, he's like, "Let me see what you bought." And he took the bag and he pulled it out and he's like, "Wait a minute." And he flips to the back and he sees my picture in it and he's like, "Oh my God, it's happening all over again." And then he called my husband on the cell phone and he's like, "What kind of book is this?" "I just bought it, and then my husband's like, "Oh, that's Urban Fantasy series." He's like, "It's still sexy, but it's not that bad." And he's like, "Oh, thank God." That was my stepson. Now my son, he's more like, "Whatever, dude, you wish your mom wrote books." And he, like I said, he's a smart ass, so he just blows it off, then of course he'll come home and say that was embarrassing. My daughter is 12, and most of her girlfriends' moms are, of course, reading my novels. And she thinks it's great, she loves it that, her mom writes these books, and she kind of knows what's in it, but not like my son does. Like my son totally understands what I write. She kind of has a gist of it, but, not really. But otherwise, it's good, and I leave it up to them, whether they tell people or not, tell people, because people that they talk to don't necessarily put it together right away. Sometimes it takes them a while. So, I'm like, it's your choice. You tell them, you tell them. Like my son, my smart mouth son, he got in trouble in school and he had to serve detention after class. And he came home with the letter from the teacher that I had to sign saying that I understood that he was in trouble and he was going to have to stay after class. So I signed it and he took it back to school the next day. And he goes up to her and he slaps the paper on the desk and he goes, "People wait in line hours for one of those." And she ended up calling me and she's going, "That was really funny. That was really funny." She goes, "That's Jack." She goes, "But I didn't know that was you, and so I'm going to send him home with some of your books, And I'm like, "Does this mean he got out of detention?" She's like, "No." So, really, they both are really good about it. But my stepson, I think, will always be slightly traumatized by the experience.
Uau, essa foi uma resposta longa. Vamos lá, o que eu consigo pegar aqui é que o filho dela tem 14 anos. Ela disse que ele é um cara que faz muitas piadas. Então ele vai na casa dos amigos e as mães dos amigos ficam loucas comentando e ele fica todo cheio de vergonha. Fala pra mãe dele: "Mãe, mas isso é muito vergonhoso."